Hello Magento developers! When working with Magento, you'll notice there are a lot of modules all over the system. They are a very important part of Magento, and it is a good practice to write a new module whenever you create a code that is isolated and could be redistributed to some other Magento 2 installation. A good example of such a module is when you create a new payment method or some kind of connector that imports products from third-party system. In this video we'll learn how to create a new module, and we'll also set up a new front-end URL endpoint and display a simple hello world message in the browser. So let's get started. When you want to create a new module, you will create it under app directory. Inside this directory there has to be a code directory, and here you can create your modules. First you need to create your vendor directory. Mine will be called pbritka. Inside this directory there is the actual name of the module. This one will be called hello world. When creating a new module, you basically need two files. One will be an XML file, which goes inside etc directory, and this file is called module.xml. I will delete this, and since I never remember the exact code that goes into this file, I'll use a little help and go into some core module, for example Magento catalog module. Let's find etc directory and module.xml, and I can copy all this definition and paste it here. The important node is module. Here is the name of your newly created module. Mine will be called pbritka _ hello world. And setup version is just a version number that is used in setup, installation and upgrade scripts. I will change it to 001. By the way, these setup scripts are those that you call from the command line utility. This sequence is an optional node, and in this simple module we can delete it because we don't need it. Basically what it says that this module depends on these other four modules. So Magento catalog module here should be loaded after all these modules, but in our case I'll just delete it. I can also delete this node, this closing tag, and add a slash here. Other file that I need is called registrationphp, and I'll also use a help of Magento catalog module. So I'll copy this code and insert it in a registration.php file. The only thing that I need to change here is the name of our module, which will be again pbritka _ hello world. With all this in place, our module is defined, and I can go to the command line and run bin Magento module enable and write the name of our module. So pbritka hello world. The module has been enabled. Later, if I want to disable it, I write the same command but change enable to disable. Magento also wrote a note that I should run setup upgrade command. It is needed if my module contains some install or upgrade scripts. Right now it doesn't contain anything, but I run it anyway. This command goes over all the installed modules and run their installation and upgrade scripts. Okay, our module is installed and we can go to the second part where we'll create a new front-end URL endpoint and display a hello world message. First, I will close all these files. If we want to set up a new URL, we have to create a new XML file and write the definition there. Magento distinguishes between front-end application and backend, also called admin HTML. This time we'll create the XML only for front-end application. So we'll create a new folder called frontend under etc directory, and inside this directory we'll create a new XML file called root. Again, I can delete this code. I will find the sample root XML file inside Magento catalog module, and I can copy all these definitions. Here I want to show you that these two XML files that we just created, the first line in module XML is based on URN Magento framework module etc module xsd schema file, which is almost the same as in root, but this time is different xsd file. Okay, let's continue. If we want to define a new root, the first node has an attribute called id with the value standard, which is for the front-end application. For backend it's called admin, so now we'll leave it on. And inside this router node there should be the individual root nodes. ID should be unique across all Magento 2 modules, so I will just name it pbritka hello world, and front name is the first part of the URL. I will call it pbritka hello world. Under this root node there is a module node, which is the name of a module that is responsible for serving these controller files. With this in place, we'll set up URL endpoints beginning with pbritka hello world. For example, we can create a URL that will be pbritka hello world page index. So this front name is this first segment of the URL. These other two parts I'll explain right now. The second part is called controller, and for this we have to create a new controller directory. If the second segment was called page, we need to create a folder called page. And the third segment is called an action, which is an actual PHP class that will be under this controller page directory. I can delete this code, and as the first thing we need to define a namespace. This is simply a path to this PHP class, so it is pbritka / hello world / controller / page. Then we'll define our class, which is called index, which extends. Let's open some sample controller class, and it extends this Magento framework app action class. When we open the URL in the browser, it will look up this index.php file and execute a function which is called execute. This is a difference from a Magento 1 framework. Here we want to output simple hello world, and that's all. With this in place, let's clean our cache with bin Magento cache clean. And let's navigate to pbritka hello world /page /index. And here we see our hello world message. We can also omit this last part, and if the Magento notices URL composed only of two segments, it will always end up in index.php file. Okay, that's it. Now we know how to create a new module and set up a new front-end URL. See you in the next video.